Evos were essentially replaced by heroes as the new monthly content, and the way people feel about heroes is almost everyone thinks Evos are better than heroes, and every single month people cry about how heroes ruined the game. The weird part? People aren't even asking for them to be properly balanced, they want them outright deleted for good. But have you ever wondered why? Now, the majority of players just see broken ability being spammed and think, F this game. For me, I see a broken ability being spammed and think, F this game. But as a creator, it also got me thinking, what makes a bad hero design? Now, to mark something as a bad design, we need to understand what do I mean by it. Personally, the way I see it is when there is a flaw in the core mechanic of the card, the Evo, or the hero. Let's take Rune Giant for example, because it's one of the worst designs in the game. It gives a buff to troops that makes them deal bonus damage, and they would lose the buff when she dies. However, she is a tank, so she is meant to soak damage. Am I supposed to protect her, to keep the buff, or use her as a tank? Now, regarding heroes, since the abilities are extremely game-changing, a good designed card like Mega Minion can have a horribly designed ability. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that we are gonna have to be looking at abilities individually. So I analyzed all 13 heroes and figured out why the hero mechanic sucks, and figured out a few ways to determine if an ability is horribly designed. First off, why is the hero's mechanic inherently horrible? There is a multitude of reasons as to why it just doesn't fit Clash Royale. For instance, let's look at heroes versus champions. Champions were designed with their ability in mind because the moment the monk was released, his ability was there with him. Heroes were not designed that way because Mini P.E.K.K.A is a card from 2016, meaning it's been around longer than some of the people watching this video, and they randomly just gave it a 1 elixir ability that can make it level 21. Like, okay, I guess level caps mean nothing now. But why does that matter? Archer Queen on her own is a terrible card and is not worth 5 elixir, and I don't think anyone disagrees with that. But giving her an ability that is a free positive elixir trade generator kinda plays as a trade-off for the weakness in her stats. Bowler is already a very solid card. I would say even that he is super underrated and low-key broken to an extent. So why are we giving him a 2 elixir rocket? Where is the stat trade-off? Where is the logic in this decision? Where is the balance? And this will be the case with every new hero, taking an already solid card and giving it just more raw power with no trade-offs. Realistically, this power gap between cards, heroes, and champions is unsolvable. They could buff champions to the power of heroes, but that would make regular cards weaker. Why is that a problem? If champions are very strong, then they will carry the game too hard, and if your champion counters theirs, you will be at a tremendous advantage. They could nerf the regular cards when they give them an ability to accommodate for having a giant that can yeet a P.E.K.K.A all the way to Brazil. But the issue is that nerfing regular musketeer is not fair even if it was to balance the hero, because that would make the regular version unusable. The next issue with heroes is that you get them every single cycle. An Evo Executioner is hard to break through without a way to directly take him off the arena. But it's low-key fine. Not really he's broken, but because the next time you attack it will be a regular executioner, thus giving you some leeway. However, when you look at the hero wizard, every push of yours will go like having 0 cycles also mean that the heroes will outperform Evos in the first minute of the match. It is no secret that most Evos are inherently stronger than heroes, and that's fine because you need to actually work towards getting them by cycling your regular cards. But at the beginning of the game, Evos are out of rotation, so heroes get rewarded more for spamming brain dead first plays. And not just that, but having no cycles allows them to abuse the surprise factor. For instance, something like Evo Skeleton Army is very dangerous if you are not prepared for it. The good thing about Evos is that they have to play the regular Skarmy twice, so it's kind of like a warning. But for heroes, it is a different story. Now, what is the difference between a troop and a spell? This is relevant to the heroes, I promise. Just give me a second. Let's say your opponent goes Hog Rider. Going mini P.E.K.K.A will fully counter it and give you a counter pushing troop for 4 elixir. Going Fireball is a stupid play because despite being the same elixir cost as mini P.E.K.K.A, it provides way less value. And there is a good reason as to why spells are balanced to be weaker than troops. A spell can be played anywhere on the arena, so this utility is a good reason as to why they need to be weaker. Spells are also guaranteed value, so unlike troops, the opponent can't really find a counterplay to them. And they are somewhat instant, so it's faster for me to zap a skeleton army, then play a Dark Prince and wait for him to deploy, then walk towards the skeletons and take them out in like what, 5 attacks? No correlation you might think, but yes correlation I would say. When I look at the hero abilities, I can't help but notice that they function kinda like spells. Most of them are impossible to stop the moment they are activated. I say most because some of them can be interrupted. However, it's like majority of the abilities are things you can do nothing about. So what do I mean by saying they don't balance abilities like spells? Let's take a look at Hero Knight. His ability is 2 elixir, giving him a taunt and a 768 shield. I will be super nice to the balance team and ignore the taunt completely. So basically in my breakdown here I will only consider it a shield for 2 elixir. Now let's take a look at Heal Spirit. 400 healing for 1 elixir. The reality of playing Heal Spirit is that it's a high risk because it's easy for it to just do nothing for you, but it's a high reward because it gives you so much healing for 1 elixir. Why does a knight get almost 2 Heal Spirits worth of healing for 2 elixir? Do you think that it would be balanced if we had a 2 elixir heal spell that gives 768 healing? Now you might say, hold on a second here, Heal Spirit can heal multiple units at once, and what I would say to that is that oftentimes even if it healed 1 unit, it's usually so worth it. And besides, you still have to account for the Heal Spirit's travel time, whereas the Knight's Shield is an instant ability. And it's a shield, so against rockets and sparkies, it gets more value than the HP it gave to the Knight. Oh, remember the taunt I covered for this breakdown? Let's bring it back and tell me how broken does Hero Knight sound now. Let's take another example, and Miner is a 3 elixir card that can spawn right on the tower, dealing skeletons-like damage. Hero Dark Prince spawns a Rhino for 3 elixir that acts kind of like a Ram Rider, which is very fair, until you realize that you can spawn that fucker right besides the tower. In the case of a Miner, it's balanced when played on the tower and weak when played on your side of the arena because it's just a worse knight in every aspect but costs the same. In the case of Hero Dark Prince, it's balanced when spawned on your side of the arena but incredibly stupid busted if you manage to spawn it besides their tower. This is what I mean by saying they need to balance hero abilities like spells because no 2 elixir spell would ever be allowed to do what Hero Ice Golem does. Now that I teared apart the core structure of heroes, here are 5 things that determine if an ability is a bad design. Number 1. Threatening by presence. Many people would poop their pants when they see a Sparky, but I'm not talking about the psychological threat. Hero Mega Minion is the biggest offender of this kind of design. Listen, imagine this. Well, I guess you don't need to imagine because I'm showing you, but you attack and the opponent defends with Hero Mega Minion and the Tombstone. Pretty basic for a lava deck, right? Now, they decided to rip a balloon on the bridge and pause. Look at your hand. P.E.K.K.A, Bandit, Magic Archer, and Ewiz. Sounds solid, right? Think again, idiot. Just by his presence on the arena, not even on the same lane, both your air defensive options are disabled. Theoretically speaking, if you had infinite elixir, you could play Bandit on the other lane so the Mega Minion locks on it, and then use your Ewiz on the balloon safely, but I don't think that makes the ability any less bullshit. If every time I wanna play my Ewiz I had to place a card first, then my Ewiz is literally 7 elixir now. Not this guy again, get out of my face. Listen here, you little... Magic Archer is also one of those heroes where just having the option to press the ability discourages certain plays. For example, if I miner on their Magic Archer, all they need to do is click one button and get a +1 trade. But the problem is that just because he has an ability, I can never go for a miner because I'm not stupid, so he gained value out of it without spending elixir. Bowler also falls into that category because if they played a regular one in the back, then it's kinda fine to go for a Musketeer or a Sparky, but when he has a 2 elixir rocket, the amount of cards you can play into him gets cut in half. Like, I'm not gonna feed him elixir. And this is exactly the problem with Hero Bowler. because just the fact this ability exists prevents me from playing certain cards. Also, regular bowler used to have this downside of activating King Tower through multiple different methods. The hero ability denies King activations completely because it cancels the piercing attack he has, thus making it fail. And if I know that they can just ruin my Fisherman activation, which I spent 3 elixir on for 2 elixir, I'm just not gonna spend it. So basically, just by having the option to cancel the King activation, it prevents my opponent from doing it, so I gained an advantage without spending the elixir. Hero Balloon is also kinda the same, because just it being a hero prevents some counters like Ewiz from ever being used on it. Number 2. Always worth using. This is Larry the Second, and Larry Jr. Bet you thought I would say Larry the Third. All 3 of them cost you 1 elixir, and I would say it's a decent value for its cost. Now let's take a look at this flag. It spawns 3 goblins for the appropriate price of 1 elixir. Now would you rather have 3 skeletons or 3 goblins? Very hard to decide, I know. This really begs the question, when is it ever a bad idea to go for the Goblin's hero ability? Maybe if the opponent already has a splash card around the flag because they would die instantly. But even then, they might squeeze away and get a stab or 2 on the tower. Cards with an ability that is always worth it, like the 1 elixir magic archer before the nerf, feels like an Evo with 0 cycles. Evos were designed to give you access to a superpower every other cycle. Heroes were designed to give you access to that superpower every time, with the drawback of losing if you overcommit with it. So if an ability like Archer Queen exists, where it always is a positive elixir trade, then it'll feel like a 0 cycle evolution. I know Queen is a champion, but trust me, if she got her stats to be as good as non-champion cards, she will be in every single deck. The point I'm trying to make is that some hero designs like Bowler make it near impossible to not justify clicking the ability every time you have it. It shoots 4 rocks for 2 elixir, and just 1 rock deals more damage than log, so even if you activate it early and miss the tower, it's still value. Hero Wizard literally gets 3 tornadoes for 1 elixir, and it's like, hello? Math? The only time it's not worth using is if the opponent's card will get one shot by it anyway. Number 3. Auto win abilities. An ability doesn't necessarily need to do this to be considered an auto-win ability. Sometimes a very subtle mistake like these arrows my opponent played on my bowler can decide games. And while not everyone can see the auto-winning situations, some of us can, and this is why I'm talking about a quote-unquote auto-winning hero abilities. Yo, Mega Minion, it's time for you to be used as a bad example. Come back here, you little... See, a hero like Giant has a very polarizing ability in a sense that it is as useful against bait decks as a blue shell in Mario Kart when you are in first place. Why did I do that? But against any big tank such as P.E.K.K.A, Mega Knight and Golem, it very well is an auto-win button because it's basically removing a 7 elixir card for 2 elixir. Now before you smartasses tell me that P.E.K.K.A is still alive on the opposite lane, yes I know, but most of the time this ability is used in sudden death, where the moment they get the tower, and believe me they will take the tower, the game is just over. The reason I'm even bringing this up is because every time I go on Reddit, I see people say Hero Giant is ass when it can straight up shove an Evo Mega Knight out of its way. Against other beatdown decks, it's a win-win situation for whoever has Hero Giant, because usually if they go opposite lane, the Giant push is faster than the Golem one, so it wins the 3 crown race. And if they go same lane, you would have both people building a massive push, and just the fact that you can yeet the Golem away will ensure your support troops win the bridge fight. So as a Golem player, would you like to play same lane and lose, or opposite lane and lose? The choice is yours to make. Hero Ice Golem is also incredibly stupid because it's kinda alright against cycle decks as they use buildings and ranged cards, but then when it faces a non-building deck, spamming Hog Ice Golem ability is just a free damage simulator. And again, you could make the argument of they overcommitted, just punish them, but kid named sudden death. Phew. That thing keeps flying all over the place, but I finally caught him. You know how Lava Hound decks usually run a big spell so that they can deal with certain counters to their deck? And you know how these spells usually cost more elixir than the card they kill? And you know how they don't have the ability to kill multiple cards when spaced out properly? Yeah, Grandma, let's get you back to bed. We are in modern day Clash Royale now. With Hero Mega Minion, it costs less than a Fireball Zap to kill your wizard, and you have a Mega Minion on your tower to worry about. And sure, that really isn't an insta-win button because you can distract it with skeletons and prevent it from locking, right? What if wizard was the lowest HP troop in my deck? What counterplay do I have against this? Do I just ignore the push and go all in? Fine, I'll accept that some matchups might need you to 3 crown rush the opponent, but the problem is the first time they play it, I wouldn't know they have it, and honestly, one good Mega Minion ability is an auto win against certain decks. Number 4. Zero risk abilities. One of the things I respect is abilities with a fair risk and fair reward design. At least the Hero Wizard, even though it's 1 elixir, they might lightning your wizard and put your ability into waste, but with the Hero Ice Golem, even when it dies, it will keep triggering its entire ability. This really just kills all counterplay against the ability because if they clicked it, what are you gonna do about it? Cry? They didn't really create a lot of heroes with that design, because a lot of hero abilities can be punished in some sort. Look, Mega Minion, I know your ability doesn't fit this category, but regardless, we're gonna have to kill you and stuff, you know? When the ability is basically just respawn the already gonna die Magic Archer a few tiles back with a mini tank for half his original cost, it's hard to find the risk here. Healing abilities are also to an extent zero risk to activate because for 1 elixir, you get like 25% of the mini P.E.K.K.A.'s HP back besides the extra HP from the level up. The only time it's not worth going for is when there is a lot of swarms, but even a mid-ladder player knows that. And I'm willing to bet my life that they are intentionally designing them to be hard to get zero value out of. The Hero Wizard gets an increased movement speed while flying. Have you ever wondered why? I am positive the reason is that so if John mid-ladder activated the ability in a bad spot, it'll move quickly and still get 2 nados down. Hero Knight's Shield, that's easily to make sure the taunt lasts a decent amount of time even if you activated the ability super late. Number 5. Mind Game Abilities. Everyone is supposedly familiar with this opening due to how common it is. And it's simple, you either ignore it and take a barb hit, or play literally anything and prevent it. Not a golem in the back, you stupid. But what if it's a hero now? Can you spell it? Nope. It heals when they reroll, nullifying your small spell for 1 elixir. Can you use a spirit on it? Nope. Also nullifies it with the heal, and now you need to commit again. Can you ignore it? Well, if you like taking 1000 damage, you knock yourself out, but if you don't, I'll tell you what to do. First option is to play something heavy to ensure no connections, but that's an overcommitment. The second option is to delay the small spell so it kills the Barbarian Barrel. This is where mind games come to play, cause they might predict that and delay the ability. The mind games thing is actually present in a lot of heroes, not just Barbarian Barrel. Like for example, here's a half HP Musketeer coming. Do you overcommit to defend it and put yourself in a bad position? Or just use skeletons to defend cheaply? Oh no, you lost the coin flip. He decided to use his turret and now you need to overcommit on it cause you weren't prepared. Hero Dark Prince? Same thing, if it's very low on HP and you stopped it near your tower, they might pop the ability and they might not. What's worse is that if they did, you low-key can't even react to this one fast enough cause that shit just goes for the tower only. Goblins technically fall into that category, but they are fine for a few reasons. Reason 1 is that the flag animation is slow enough for you to react to it properly. Reason number 2 is that there is a clear time window on when it can be activated in which most players will just be hovering a card to be ready. Reason 3 is that they are weak. A spell is enough to deal with them, not like a Rhino needing an entire bowler. So, which hero is a good design so far? None of them. You know what upsets me? 10 years ago, I used to look at this game and think, am I dreaming? This game is just way too good to be true. I still love the game, but I've been actively seeing it get worse every update with every gimmick they introduce, and it's just sad to see, my dudes.